All right, let's jump right into it. The question we're looking at today is a real classic. Make a comparison and write down ways in which plant cells are different from animal cells. Now, this isn't just about memorizing a list, It's really about understanding why these two types of cells are designed so differently. So let's dive in and really get to the bottom of what makes them tick.
So before we get all microscopic and zoom in, let's just take a step back and look at the big picture. Think about it. Plants are pretty much stuck in one place, right? They're stationary, and they make their own food. Animals, on the other hand, well, we're always on the move, hunting or looking for food. This really basic difference in lifestyle is the whole reason their cells are built so differently.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The first and most obvious difference you'll see right away is the outer boundary. See that thick, extra layer on the outside of the plant cell? That's called the cell wall. And if you look over at the animal cell, it's just not there. This wall gives the plant cell a fixed shape and protects it, which is something a stationary organism really needs.
Now here's the definition you want to remember for your exams. The cell wall is a rigid, protective outer layer, and it's made of a really tough material called cellulose. You'll find it just outside the plasma membrane. It's this rigidity that gives plants all their structural support. It's basically why a tree doesn't need a skeleton like we do.
So let's put them side by side to make it super clear. The plant cell has that strong, rigid cell wall. The animal cell, it just has a flexible cell membrane. And that flexibility is absolutely key for movement. So you see the trade-off, right? Plants trade flexibility for structure, while animals trade that rigid structure for the freedom to move.
All right, let's move inside the cell for our next big difference. Notice this gigantic sac-like thing inside the plant cell? That's the large central vacuole. And as you can see, it takes up a massive amount of space. Sure, animal cells can have vacuoles, but they are absolutely tiny compared to this beast.
So, what is a vacuole? Well, it's basically a bag of liquid called cell sap. In plant cells, its main job is to provide turgidity. Just think of it like a water balloon inside the cell that's always full and pushing outwards. This pressure is what keeps the cell firm and helps the whole plant stand up straight. It's literally what keeps a plant from wilting. Animal cells, if they have them, just have little temporary ones.
And this chart just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Look at that. The vacuole can take up to 90% of a plant cell's volume. In an animal cell, it's usually less than 10%. That huge difference in size really tells you how important this structure is for plant survival.
Okay, so we said earlier that plants make their own food. But how does that actually work? What's going on at the cellular level? What's the tiny machinery inside that makes it all happen? Let's take a look.
Well, the answer is right here, inside this incredible little organelle called the chloroplast. You can think of this as the cell's very own solar-powered kitchen. This is exactly where photosynthesis happens, that amazing process where a plant uses sunlight to create its own food.
The more technical term for these guys is plastids, and chloroplasts are the most famous type. Plastids are responsible for making and storing food. They're filled with a green pigment called chlorophyll, and that's the stuff that actually captures the sunlight. It's also why most plants are, well, green.
Now, if you look at animal cells, you won't find a single plastid, not one. And that makes perfect sense, because animals are what we call heterotrophs. We get our energy by eating other things. Since we don't produce our own food, our cells just don't have the equipment for it. It's another one of those differences that goes right back to lifestyle. Now, for our last major point, let's look at something that's unique to animal cells. See this little structure near the nucleus? It's called the centrosome. It might not look like much, but it has an absolutely critical job. It helps the cell divide, which is essential for us to grow and heal. So to compare them directly, centrosomes are present and play a huge role in animal cell division, but in most higher plant cells, they're completely absent. It's just another one of those key structural differences that separates the two. So let's pull it all together in this summary table. This is basically the perfect answer for an exam. We've got the cell wall, present in plants, absent in animals. This leads to shape, fixed for plants, irregular for animals. We have plastids, the food makers, present in plants, absent in animals. Then the vacuole, huge in plants for support, tiny in animals. And finally, the centrosome for cell division, absent in most plants, but present in animals.
We hope आपको वीडियो अच्छा लगा होगा और क्वेश्चन से रिलेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर हो गए होंगे. We'll see you in next video. Till then, tata. Bye bye.